Hello everyone, welcome to your part 2 horoscope for the August 2017 eclipse season. I'm here to discuss what the lunar and solar eclipses mean for each of the signs. And the reason why I'm coming with this horoscope is because eclipses last for up to 6 months at a time, right? These certain events that transpire during the eclipse season lives in time for about 6 months, right? Until the next eclipse season, which will be in February of 2018. So what has transpired from now, what will transpire from now until February is what we'll be discussing. And in particular, this eclipse season with the North Node in Leo is a finalization of what transpired between 2008 and 2009, particularly with the lunar eclipse in Aquarius that occurred, but with the solar eclipse in Leo on the 28th degree on top of Regulus. This is completing a chapter in our lives that began 18 years ago, right? So from between 1998 to 1999 is when we last had the North Node in Leo, right? And we had the solar eclipse in Leo on this high degree, but the energy was very different back in the day. And so how we cultivated the Leo archetype was very different from what we are cultivating now, which is what we needed to release, right? 20 years of conditioning of how we express ourselves, how we cultivate a personal sense of selfhood, right? How we cultivate a personal sense of what our heart actually is and how we express our heart in the world, how we express our individuality, what we define ourselves to be as far as creativity, right? As far as being a child of something, of some greater plan, right? Being in the body of some greater self. What part, what role do we play in that? Is what the Leo archetype represents and is what we're learning to master now. And so with this last eclipse season in August, on the very highest stages of Leo, right? With the North Node at the highest stages of Leo. This is the download of the plan for the next 18 months. The next 18 months until we get to November of 2018, which is when the nodal axis will shift again into Cancer Capricorn. We will be dealing with the Leo-Aquarius archetype until November 2018. And this being the first eclipse season with Leo and Aquarius means this is just the first stage, right? And the first stage is about the grand master plan as far as our destiny in this world, as far as our purpose in this world, our individual purpose, and how it aligns with the group purpose, right? The other side of the equation, which is the Aquarius story, right? How when we know ourselves, we align with those who know us as well, who align with our soul frequency. But before that transpires, we must know our own song. Right? So, what I will be discussing for each of the signs, I encourage you to check your sun, your moon, your rising / ascendant sign, and as well as, I've heard that the prenatal eclipse, especially the prenatal solar eclipse, has a particular emphasis in your chart, right? It is the divine purpose that your soul chose to incarnate with, right? Chose to incarnate in the solar eclipse period, right? That a group of souls chose to incarnate in this particular, in your particular prenatal solar eclipse time period. So whatever sign that is for you, I encourage you to check that out as well as your Venus sign, which speaks to how you conceptualize the experiences that occur in your life, right? what meanings you give to what happens in your life, what you attract, right? Your relationships, your projects, what you create. And as well as the North Node, as far as where your soul wishes to grow and develop in this lifetime. And any particular stelliums in a sign that you have in your chart. So let's say you have an Aries stellium or a Gemini stellium. Those particular signs may be of relevance to you, so you may want to check out those horoscopes as well. But there is no suppression as far as what you choose to listen to and what you do not resonate with. You may not even resonate with your sun sign horoscope. So I encourage each and every one of you to check out your personal charts and to see where you fit into the equation, right? Okay, so let's get started. We start off with Leo, since it is their season. So Leo, August for you, the eclipse season for you, and the next 6 months for you until we get to February of 2018. As you are well aware, we've had a solar eclipse in your sign. Everyone has been talking about it. Everyone's been thinking about it, and it has been the hot news of this month, right? And this is a role that you're very comfortable with being in, right? And of course, this solar eclipse is all about you. But before we get to that point, right, we have the lunar eclipse in Aquarius on August 7th. And for you, this was stirring up your relationships, right? Your opposite sign, your opposite self, your other half, right? And though you are basically the star of the show at this point, though you are leading the way for us all for the next 6 months and for the next 18 months as the North Node is in your sign, right? You're teaching each and every one of us, each and every one of the signs, how to live in your truest purpose, how to live in your truest heart frequency by being yourself, right? This is all about you. This is all about taking the stand. This is all about getting on the stage, having the spotlight shine on you. But in order to cultivate a greater sense of yourself, right, it's not enough to just be on the stage. Ultimately, it comes down to having the right audience. Ultimately, it comes down to having the right people in your life, the ones that encourage you, the ones that inspire your flame. Even though you're not looking to them per se to motivate you, in the sense that you get on the stage for them, right? Even though that's not what you're looking for, that's the type of support you need. You need a community to back you up. You need a community to ground your vision, right? To ground your heart frequency, to ground what it is and who it is that you're trying to be. And the lunar eclipse was inspiring the need to outgrow a certain portion of how you relate to people, a certain portion of whatever energy you've been giving away to people, right? In a sense, there's a part of you, Leo, that has been abandoning yourself for the sake of somewhat putting on a show for the rest of the world, being the clown, so to speak, being a puppet of your true self, being a caricature of your true self, versus actually being your true self, right? Because they're not one and the same, right? You can be somewhat the shadow, the silhouette of what you truly are. But does that really fulfill you? And you're coming to this conclusion that no, it does not. And so for the next 6 months, this is all about you needing to take the stand, you needing to step forward into your true power, right? You needing to lead the way for the rest of the zodiac. And this is a big task, right? But Leos are getting the most responsibility concretized into their lives right now. They're needing to take the reins. They're needing to lead the way. And in that sense, a greater spiritual purpose is being implanted into their consciousness, right? A greater spiritual purpose in regards to the responsibility you hold in your community, the responsibility you hold to the rest of the world. As the rest of the world is watching you, right? You're needing to play the part. You're needing to play the role that others are giving to you. Not in the sense that whatever their opinions and judgments of you are need to repress your true self, but with the responsibility and the power that is given to you, you must take advantage of it in a sense that you are becoming the leader we're all looking for you to be, right? And with Uranus in your 9th house, with Uranus in Aries retrograding for the next 6 months until January of 2018, this is preparing you. This is preparing your identity, preparing your structures, right? Your paradigms, your belief systems for who and what you will become by next year when Uranus moves into Taurus, when Uranus moves to the top of your chart, right? Because by next year, Leo, you won't even recognize yourself. You will be a completely different person in a way that you never even imagined you could be, right? Uranus being the most unpredictable planet in our sky, right? Uranus bringing revelations from the heavens, revelations from the greater universal plan. And it being in your 9th house right now, of your belief systems, of your higher self, of your higher mind, being retrograde, right? This is bringing up all the subconscious fears and issues in regards to how deeply you believe in yourself. It's asking if you do believe in yourself, Leo. And in a sense, the belief has been lacking. The belief has been lacking. And this is what we're cultivating for the next 6 months. So use this time to stand up in whatever area of your life, to stand up, to take the reins, to pioneer the future, to pioneer the way forward. And when Saturn moves direct at the end of this month, which it has today as I'm recording this, right? August 25th, where you have been creatively blocked, perhaps, where you have not been able to see the future, where perhaps you've been feeling stuck, right? You've been feeling repressed, you've been feeling down and out, you've been feeling like something hasn't necessarily been clicking for you, where you've felt blocked creatively, right? Now is where you become unblocked. You begin to take the reins. But what the period of Saturn being retrograde in your 5th house has done for you, and what you'll need to cultivate for the next 6 months until December of the end of this year when Saturn moves into Capricorn, what you will want to stir into motion is the level of maturity in your self-expression that you have cultivated. This is about separating the wheat from the chaff, right? It's no longer about just expressing yourself to stir up passion and fire and flame and drama, right? No drama for the next 6 months, right? Because when Saturn comes into your 6th house, this is you needing to channel your creativity in ways you've never done before. And you needing to set your nose to the ground, so to speak, right? Saturn in Capricorn in the 6th house is about working for the rewards. Saturn in Capricorn only rewards hard work. And this will be a very, very, very hardworking period for you, as Pluto is in your 6th house as well, which it will catch up with by the time Saturn conjuncts Pluto exactly in between 2019, 2020, right? And that's setting an entire new paradigm for how you utilize your energy. But before we get to that point, Leo, you're needing to set your sights so focused, so disciplined, so directly on what it is you do desire, and not letting it scatter. Do not let it scatter. Do not let other people tell you who you are. Do not let outside opinions orchestrate what you will become. For the next 6 months, this is about channeling your energy, channeling your creativity into something that you are. And you do not need outside validation to necessarily construct that for you. You do not need outside validation to tell you who you are, Leo. You already know who it is you are. But it's about having the discipline and actually showing up. Having the discipline to show up for yourself, right? Because this is where you've been blocked, right? With Sagittarius ruling your 5th house, you can be somewhat overpassionate, right? Overpassionate in the sense that you tend to scatter your creativity in a million different places as you aim to get the audience that you wish to attract, right? And these last few months have been about rebranding yourself identity, rebranding your image, right? But not for the sake of other people, not for the sake of winning the attention of other people, not for the sake of winning the audience, winning the game, so to speak, right? It's about more than just the game that you're playing. It's about consolidating your soul, showing up to your soul, because this is the only thing that fulfills you. And where you have felt detached, perhaps, from your relationships, why your relationships have been feeling so weird, an Aquarian word, an Aquarian keyword right there, with the South Node in your opposite sign, right? Where you've been feeling detached, perhaps, outcast, alienated from perhaps those you love, from perhaps the rest of the world, from perhaps society itself, where you felt isolated. It's only because you need to be so sure about who it is that you are and what it is that you want to create for yourself in your life, and to demonstrate it to the partnerships, to demonstrate it to whoever is in your life, right? Setting the bar. And whoever does not support you in your endeavors, for the next 6 months, you will be looking heavily at perhaps the mindsets, the belief systems that have inhibited you, that have suppressed you. What is holding you back? Who is holding you back, right? And it's questioning if you're going to have the energy to take this energy along with you, right? If something is constantly dragging you back from, let's say, you're trailing a path towards your greatest destiny, right? You see yourself on the other side of the road and you make your way towards it, right? You make your way. And then perhaps your loved one, perhaps your spouse, your parent, your child, your friend, who supposedly has known you for so very long, pulls you back and says, that's not the way to go, right? You belong here with me. Uranus in the 9th house requires you to question everything that has made you who you are up to this point, including the environment that has shaped you, the belief systems that shape you, because you can only go so far as you believe you can, right? As your perception of yourself and your own potential allows you to go. And with Saturn preparing to come into Capricorn in your 6th house, and Jupiter preparing to leave Libra, your 3rd house, in the area where you accept everyone's opinion, right? Everyone's opinion about what they believe you should do with your life, right? Where they believe you should go, right? As you've been playing with your own voice, the aim has been to find the center of balance within yourself, right? Through playing with different aspects of yourself, right? You've been trying to find your own voice through the relationships in your life, through playing with the multiple different perspectives of the people in your life, right? Playing off of the environment. But with Jupiter preparing to come into Scorpio in your 4th house at the bottom of your chart, I'm sorry, Leo, and Saturn preparing to come in your 6th again, you know that a greater degree of self-sovereignty is needed, a greater degree of responsibility you will be taking on, right? Juggling multiple different priorities. And Mercury being retrograde in Virgo in your 2nd house, right? Questioning your skills, questioning where you're efficient and where you're not efficient, right? Where you need to develop, perhaps, where you need to grow, where you need to expand your sense of self. Perhaps your perspective on yourself needs to change. Perhaps whatever shift you're aiming to make within the next 6 months, right? It requires a greater degree of resources, in a sense that you're needing to shift how you do things, right? You're needing to shift where you invest your skills, where you invest your assets, perhaps, where you invest your time, where you invest your resources, and what your resources are. This is requiring you, because Mercury being retrograde in Virgo is requiring you to look at the non-linear, the non-logical point of view, right? Because logic is offline, the left brain is offline, and we're sort of having to either be holistic in the sense that we're using both halves of our brain, or we're needing to weigh out the logical brain with the right brain. Lateral thinking, right? Lateral thinking in the sense that we're taking multiple different angles of thought versus the linear thought. We're taking it from multiple different timelines, perhaps, multiple different sections, fractals of perception, of thought, and combining them into one to create a unique solution. And the solution for you, right? In the way that you see that you must build your life, you may see that you need, let's say, in order to get this business off the ground, I'm going to need $20,000. Well, what happens if you don't have $20,000, right? What happens if you don't have what you think you need? The solution to that is being the solution to that is not to look for resources, but to be resourceful, right? Full of resourcefulness within yourself, right? You're going to need to improvise how you utilize your skills, your assets, your talents, your abilities, right? Look at what you have in your life right now, Leo. Look at what you have to work with. Before you aim for the sky, you have to work from the ground, from the bottom up, right? Look at what's around you. Look at what you can play with. And in a sense, perhaps the audience, it's not necessarily that your brand needs to change, because you are coming into your own. You're coming into your own power. You're coming into your own creativity, where the blocks have been dissolved, right? As you step forward, as you stake your claim, as you stake your sense of sovereignty and your sense of self-authority, right? As you show up to the plate with your creativity, perhaps it's not so much that you need to change, Leo, but that your audience needs to change. Your audience, whether this is a community, whether this is the friendships in your life, whether this is the partnerships in your life, who supports you? Who supports this new character that you're developing into? And you'll need to look very, very closely at the long-term vision you have for whatever it is you're trying to go. Wherever it is you're trying to go, whatever it is you're trying to be, whatever it is you're trying to create, it requires an honest degree of focus, an honest degree of discipline, and an honest degree of long-term potential. Long-term, think big, think broad, right? And most Leos don't necessarily like to do that because they like to be in the present. They like to be somewhat in the sun, right? That's more of Aquarius's specialty, right? That's their playing field. But with Uranus being in your 9th house, preparing for what's to come with Uranus in your 10th, as you completely break everyone's expectations, as you burst out of the box, you shake the foundation of your entire life, right? The entire world's perception of what they expected you to be, right? As you prepare for that, you have to be so transparent, right? You have to be so open and honest with yourself about what gets you there and what doesn't. So, thank you very much for watching, Leo, and I'll see you in your September forecast for 2017, which will be up pretty soon. Virgo. For you, this eclipse season, in a sense, I'm getting, Virgo, that you are retiring from the world, retiring from the traditional way of being in the world, right? You've had the lunar eclipse in Aquarius in your 6th house. Your 6th house, your house, the Virgo house, right? This is your domicile house. This is what you've always believed basically your potential was. You've basically always believed that this is the way to go about life, right? This is the way to be. This is the way to live. This is the way I must express myself. This is the hand I've been dealt, right? And in a sense, this has detached you from everything and everyone around you, right? The South Node in Aquarius emphasizing where we have grown the most detached, where we have either let the collective make our decisions for us, in a sense abandoning ourselves, or where we have been so into ourselves that we have detached from the entire story, right? And in a sense, I'm feeling for you that both of the stories are playing out, right? Both of the stories are playing out because you, since think back to 2008, Virgo, which is when this whole story began. Between 2008, 2009, which is when the North Node was in Aquarius, right? And we're ending that cycle now with the lunar eclipse in Aquarius. And for you, you inherited a paradigm from the world that told you you needed to be busy, you needed to be distracted, you needed to constantly be on the move, you needed to constantly be giving your energy away, you needed to constantly be getting out there, right? and this constant busy bee energy, this constant somewhat producer type of energy, constant generator of energy for the collective, I'm getting like a rat race energy, like going for it, right? Constantly on the move, constantly on the go, never having a break. Somewhat like a machine, right? Where the world has told you needed to be a machine. This is the only way to make it in the world. This is the only way to work in the world. This is the only way to be of service in the world, right? All of these concepts of how one works and lives and breathes and loves in their life, right? How to develop, how to grow. And in a sense, if you don't live up to this paradigm, then you're basically a failure as a human being, right? You're not up to the task. You're not up. You don't have what it takes to make it, right? This whole concept that society has given you about how you must be, right? It's all coming down, Virgo. This month is the start of that. And for the next 6 months, it'll be somewhat like a domino effect. It will constantly be building momentum, right? From this solar eclipse in Leo, which is happening in your 12th house. And what this means for you is you are coming back to yourself, Virgo. And where you have been is somewhat I'm seeing like an asylum, right? An asylum, in a sense that you don't even know what your inner child is anymore. In a sense, it has been detached from this world. And you're needing to detach from the world in order to return to this inner child that has been hidden away in the depths of your subconscious mind, Virgo. And where you have repressed this child within you is why the events have been happening for you in this way in your life, right? Why you've been feeling so drained, why you've been feeling so detached, so numb. I'm feeling so numb. It's because before you can live and breathe and work as a human being, right? Before you can make it, before you can quote unquote have success in life, there needs to be, and have success in life in any area of your life, not necessarily just work and career, right? This can be relationships, this can be home life, this can be personal goals, hopes and wishes and dreams, right? Anything, right? The development of the self. Why it hasn't been necessarily working out for you, Virgo, is because it needs to be polarized. It needs to be polarized with the fiery half of the story, right? The part of you that you are most fearful of, your inner child. In a sense, Virgo wants to show up to the plate very, very, very certain, very assured, very confident, very mature, right? In a sense, you want to be seen in this way. You want to be seen in this way. But outside of how people see you, Virgo, outside of how people see you, and what you just naturally are. Let me pull this camera closer for a second. I'm sorry. What you just naturally are without any sort of guidance or instruction, without any preconceived notions about how you should be, is what fulfills you, is what fixes, quote unquote, fixes your life. Is when you connect with the silent watcher that has been guiding you, silently guiding you throughout your life, right? And the change happens when you stop when you stop moving, when you stop being distracted, when you stop needing to constantly be on the move, be constantly on the go, constantly numb, constantly machine-like, constantly producing for everyone else, right? When you stop telling yourself you need to be a machine, when you start telling yourself rest is okay, right? Meditation is okay. Being one with myself is okay. Being still is okay. Being silent is okay. I don't need to constantly be talking. I can just be me. I can just be me. And this is what you need, Virgo. To just be you. And that's not necessarily an easy thing, right? That's not for Virgo. But this lost inner child within you, this lost inner child, is what you are reclaiming now. And through meditation, through the acknowledgement of these deep hidden emotions, right? That somewhat transcend space and time. You cleanse and heal and purify everything around you, right? We constantly look to Virgo to clean up our messes, right? We constantly look to the Virgo archetype to be the savior for us all, the one who cleans up the world, the one who fixes the world, the one who solves our problems, the one who purifies everything and everyone. But where does Virgo fit into that, right? Everyone needs to be cleaned and purified. But who cleans and purifies Virgo, right? When is it Virgo's turn is what you've been asking. When is it Virgo's turn? And now's the time, right? With the North Node in your 12th house and the solar eclipse in your 12th house. For the next 6 months, you're retiring. You're retiring from the world. You're retiring from what people tell you they think you should do, right? How they think you should be. People may look at you. People may look at you and see you being still. They may see you being absolutely silent, absolutely, even perhaps for the next, not even the next 6 months, perhaps beyond that, for the next 18 months. Until we get to November of 2018, which is how long the North Node will be in Leo, in your 12th house, right? People may look at you and think you're not doing anything. They may think something's wrong with Virgo, right? Why isn't Virgo moving? Why is Virgo just sitting there? Why is Virgo being silent? Why isn't Virgo coming out and doing what their duties are, right? Why aren't they being of service? Where are they? Where are all the Virgos? Is what will be ringing through the air for the next year. And you may feel the pressure. You may feel the pressure perhaps within this next 6-month period, especially as you're just getting used to this meditative frequency that's trying to download into you, right? You may get into a panic. Just watch out for this tendency, right? You may get into a panic and try to revert back into your old self. You may try to. And this is where health problems arise. With the South Node in your 6th house, if you don't take care of your energy, if you don't meditate, if you don't take the time to be still, it ruins your health, Virgo. It ruins your body. It ruins your cleanliness, right? And the cleanliness of your soul, the cleanliness of your vessel is what we're aiming for. As you've been running yourself dry for the last 8 to 9 years of your life. You've been running yourself dry, trying to make it, trying to develop yourself, trying to be a better person, right? Whatever that means. And that story is ending now. That story is ending now. And with Saturn in the bottom half of your chart going direct, these next 6 months, and even before then, right, until the time we get to Saturn being in Capricorn, with Saturn and Sagittarius direct, for you, this is implanting a whole new plan for you, creating a whole new plan for you, preparing a whole new plan for you. And this plan is in motion, is set in motion, is activated when Saturn comes into Capricorn in your 5th house. And with Uranus also preparing you for when Uranus goes into Taurus, right? All of these somewhat outer planets, somewhat transpersonal planets preparing you for the next stage of your life, the next chapter. And Uranus being in your 8th house in Aries. There are unknown parts of yourself, Virgo, unknown parts of your identity coming to the surface. And these unknown parts are hidden in the darkest crevices, are hidden in the darkest corners of your psyche, are hidden in places that you never even thought to look, right? But they're coming up. They're coming up in order for you to integrate them, because there is more to you, Virgo, than you believe. There is so much more to your story. And it has to do with the arising, the rekindling of the passion and the flame within you, right? And in a sense, this needs your introspection, this needs self-reflection, this needs you to be entirely present with yourself. And if that means ditching the rest of the world, then so be it, right? Because this is about the knowledge of oneself. This is about the knowledge of one's own wishes, one's own dreams, one's own psyche. And if you don't know yourself, how can you expect to be able to give of yourself to the rest of the world? Because there's a part of you being reset. There's a part of you being reset. And when Uranus comes into your 9th house next year, right? By May of 2018, your whole world shifts, right? Your whole perception of your world shifts, right? Things that you never believed were possible come true. That's what Uranus in the 9th house does, especially being in Taurus, the most concrete, the most physical, tangible, materially based sign. And Uranus being in this sign, Uranus bringing gifts from the gods, gifts from the heavens, right? Unexpected consequences, perhaps. Uranus either breaks or transcends. So any part of yourself you do not know will be broken, will be somewhat turned on its head by the time Uranus goes into the 9th house, which is why Uranus retrograde in Aries in your 8th is preparing you by forcing you to look into the most deepest, darkest, subconscious regions of your own psyche, right? Your own psyche in regards to not only yourself, but also your relationships, right? Relationships trigger this, especially intimate ones. Especially ones that force you to grow outside of yourself, right? That arouse and rekindle that passion, that flame, that inner child within you. It's all aiming to reset you. And this is going into spaces you've never been before. You're outgrowing the survival story, the make it or break it story. And these next 6 months are a transitional phase for you. So if you feel, especially until November 2018, even if things feel a little bit slow, if you feel like you're not making as much outer progress in the outside world, right? It's calling you to retreat, to come back into yourself, because that's not where you find the ride, Virgo. The ride is within yourself. It's a mystery ride into your own psyche, into your own origins, into what makes you you by sheer presence, right? your inner child, your inner flame, your inner spark. And to know this, to know thyself is the mantra. So thank you very much for watching, Virgo, and I will see you in September for your September horoscope of 2017, which will be out pretty soon. You're up first, as it is your birthday period. So happy birthday, Virgo, and I'll see you next month. Libra. There's a lot of I was feeling this for Virgo as well, but there's a lot of transitional aspects going on for you this month, this August eclipse season. So but you're having some of the hardest hits, right? Hardest hits in regards because the Jupiter's in your sign and you have Uranus opposing you, which has gone direct this month, right? And so this eclipse season is all about having you realize that you are so much more than you think that you are. You are so much more. You are meant for so much more, right? You are meant to have the world of your dreams per se, but it's all about creating the dream in the first place, right? With the lunar eclipse in Aquarius in your sign, since 2008, go back to 2008, between 2008, 2009, this is when the concept arose. This is when the story began, the Aquarius story that we are releasing at this point, right? Whatever was implanted then has been leaking over the timeline until now. And this is in regards to your concepts of love, right? How you love, how you express yourself, and the relationships, how you relate to other people, how people love you, the degree, the level of love that you have been able to create, to manifest in your life, right? And to a certain degree, I'm feeling for you, Libra, that it hasn't been cutting it. It hasn't been cutting it, right? And the ideals about love, about yourself, about happiness, what happiness is, what passion is all coming undone. It's all coming undone. Because these ideals, these concepts, these theories, right? Being in your fifth house in Aquarius, the most abstract, the most perhaps illogical, cold can be. Its negative aspect is supremely logical, supremely cold and calculated. And this understanding that you have been overlaying on your love life, on your happiness, on your passion, on your relationships, right? It's kind of been tinged. It's been tinged with this old theory, right? And it has separated you from what really brings you alive, from your core essence. This overly logical, formulaic way of looking at love, of looking at happiness, of looking at passion. And it has seeped over into everything that you have created, whether this is a relationship, whether this is a project, whether this is just the level of degree of understanding of yourself, understanding of your own happiness. And why? Questioning why. There is this certain level of emptiness, this void of understanding has been blocking you from feeling the level of love and intimacy that you wish to have. The fulfillment that you really want to have, Libra. And with Uranus retrograde in Aries for the last time, for the next 6 months, this is having you look at, while Uranus was direct, right, for the first half of the year, this is having you look at all of your relationships to a certain degree detached from them, right? Looking at it from the big picture point of view, looking at the long term, looking at the big overall landscape of your relationships, and seeing what they have taught you, Because relationships nonstop, Libra, have been testing you to your limits, have been testing your sense of identity, your sense of confidence, your sense of knowledge of yourself, right? But what they have been urging you to do, Libra, is to break your own rules, to break your own codes, to break your own concepts of love, to break your own ideologies, to break the pattern. You've needed the pattern broken for a long time now, Libra. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to releasing the archetype of rejection, right? Why do we create ideologies and concepts and theories about love versus actually living in it? How come we can see the perfect love story, right? We can see the perfect business in our mind, right? We can see the perfect project, the perfect art form playing out. We can see everything coming to life inside of us, right? Inside of us through the projection of our mind. But when it comes to actually concretizing it, when it comes to actually making it real, making it concrete, making it substantial, something always seems to turn it on its head. And why is this, right? Why does reality not match up to our ideals? And it comes down to rejection, Libra. It comes down to realizing that you are more than your ideals. You are more than your abstract theories and concepts of what you think you are. And you don't want to live in a hologram anymore. You don't want to live in a hologram of what could be, what you could be, the ideal relationship, the ideal project, the ideal anything, the ideal form of happiness. Because it's easy to live there. It's easy to live in the hologram. It's easy to live in the projection versus the reality, in a sense that you are creating it, right? The manifested reality, because it requires a degree of transparency. It requires a degree of honesty, and it requires a degree of courage. The courage to stare rejection in the face. Because it's only by being transparent, it's only by being real, it's only by being absolutely here, not here, absolutely here, not here, right? That the opportunities for both rejection on one end and absolute fulfillment on the other are met. And you've not been living on either of those planes because this rejection archetype is what has been your main focus. And relationships in your life are teaching you how to break that code, how to break that pattern, how to arise out of the ashes, so to speak, and break out of the ideal, the concept of love, and actually be love. And it all comes down to knowing what role you play in this story, this game of life that we're all living in, right? It ultimately comes down to knowing your place, knowing where your heart is, what your heart is. And by knowing yourself, others may know you too. Others know your song, but it's only when you sing your song that those others see you. Those others are attracted to you. You find your tribe. You find your place in this world. You find your role, and you're no longer wandering aimlessly from relationship to relationship, from project to project, on the fence on one end and on the fence on another, right? In this gap, in this void of understanding of yourself, right? Constantly decisionless, because though you see both sides of the story, you see both halves of your being, right? You see yourself and the other. You see it all, right? You see all polarities, Libra. This is your specialty. This is what makes you so charismatic. This is what makes you so lovely, so charming, so personable, so sociable, so open, so attractive. Is your level of understanding of people, of understanding of both sides of the story, both sides, both characters, right? Both polarities. And it's only by embracing both polarities within your own being that you know your heart, right? You know where your place in this world is. And your place in this world has the people, has the resources, has the fulfillment, the happiness, the vision that you have been trying to cultivate on your own, right? But it's only by networking, connecting with these people that you arrive at this understanding. And so for the next 6 months, look at your friendships, look at your world, look at your relationships, right? Look at everything around you. And ultimately, look at the world you want to create. Look at what these relationships are giving to you, Libra. The visions that they are giving to you. What does it inspire? What does it kindle? What does it spark within you? What vision for your life, for your world? And where does that take you? Who do you need? And with Saturn in your third house, you have been exploring your boundaries, right? You have been exploring where you are limited, what you are able to cultivate and what you are not, who you are and what you are not. You've been looking at journeys you can take and journeys you cannot take. Because, of course, you can see both polarities, right? You can see both sides of the equation. You can see both halves of your being. And so what has kept you on the fence is the constant oscillating between this world or that world. Well, when you explore the world that you think you should be on and you see that there are certain boundaries, certain limitations, you see where you cannot go. And Saturn being retrograde has taught you where you cannot go. And Saturn moving direct now, today, as I'm recording this, August 25th, and for the next 6 months until Saturn comes into Capricorn by the end of this year, you are getting so absolutely focused on where you can go. So absolutely disciplined and with supreme clarity within yourself about what direction to take. And with Mercury and Virgo in your 12th house, of course, with Mercury being in Virgo, we cannot look to the linear, logical way of doing things, right? And so for the next 6 months, you cannot rely on the normal way of processing, your reality, the normal way of digging out your subconscious issues, the normal way of meditating, perhaps, the normal way of being with yourself. This is digging out all of the subconscious fears within yourself that have blocked you from being able to trust in a higher purpose and a higher plan and a higher vision for your life. right? Where you have seen the need to intervene where human intervention is not needed, perhaps. What has blocked you from being able to trust is all being swept away, I'm seeing, right? And this is about letting the universe, letting whatever is behind the scenes working for you behind the scenes. Let it work. Let it fix whatever's there, right? We do not need to bring our issues to the surface in a sense that we're reliving the past. Do not relive the past, Libra. Do not. This is requiring you to move forward, right? And with Jupiter coming into Scorpio out of your first house, as you have been for the past year now, expanding your sense of self, you've been expanding your sense of who you are. And relationships in your life have been invoking this, right? Inspiring this, kindling this, perpetrating this, right? Jupiter coming into Scorpio and Saturn coming into Capricorn at the bottom of your chart, right? This is requiring you to be absolutely confident in yourself, in your potential, in whatever it is you're creating. And it's requiring you to be more real, living outside of the concept of who you think you are, what you think love is, what you think happiness is, right? Living outside of these ideals, these symbols, these abstract theories, abstract concepts that live in the realm of your mind and not in your body, right? With Jupiter and Scorpio in the house of your body, in the second house of substantiality of personality, right? Substantiality, concretizing the personality through the body, right? And Jupiter expanding whatever is there. If you are not confident in yourself, if you are not sure, if you are not certain of what your gifts, talents, and abilities are, your ability to manifest, then that is what you manifest, right? Jupiter expands whatever it touches, for good or for ill. And if you have not expanded your sense of self, expanded your sense of where you can go, of what you can do, of what your purpose, your role, your part to play in all of this is, through the interaction with different sides of yourself, right? Through friendships, perhaps through groups, through larger societies, through community. Your community is where you are, because you are such, you are the sign of relationship, right? You need relationships in your life. In order to fulfill your purpose here, Libra, you need relationships in your life. And it's about the community that you surround yourself with. It's about the community that you serve. And if you are not confident in what you have to offer to this community, then that will be emphasized. And it's about not needing it to be picture perfect. Because you're living out, this is about living outside of the concept, outside of the hologram. And the hologram ultimately is what has been cutting you off, is what has been cutting your heart off, cutting your life off, cutting your fulfillment off. This is where every single thing that you create, Libra, has been falling at the seams, falling apart. It's because it is based on a very abstract foundation. And we need solidity of purpose through the proclaiming of your heart. And you need other people to mirror your heart, to reflect it back to you. And this is the key to manifesting the level of intimacy that you wish to have in your life, as Uranus will come into Taurus by May of next year in your 8th house of intimacy, right? In your 8th house of trust and shared resources, right? And where this will be either falling apart at the seams or expanding in ways you've never thought possible, right? Depends on the level of self-sufficiency, the level of independence, the level of self-esteem and confidence you cultivate within this next 6-month period. So thank you again, Libra, for watching. I will see you again for your September forecast of 2017, which will be coming up very soon. So thank you and have a wonderful month. Scorpio. Yes, major emphasis for you as this eclipse period is affecting all of the fixed signs in much more potent ways than the rest of the zodiac, because the eclipses are happening in fixed signs. So for you, Scorpio, August is all about upgrading. August is all about preparing for the upgrades that are in store, right? And it starts off with Uranus going retrograde in your 6th house in Aries, right? And the lunar eclipse in Aquarius happening in your 4th house of, I'm hearing your karmic unfolding. So the lunar eclipse is clearing out all the emotions of the past, right? Think back to between 2008 2009, which is when this particular Aquarian archetype was instituted, right? Whatever was instituted back then is falling now, coming to a close now. It's coming to its ultimate culmination. And this is old patterns of dealing with your emotions. This is old patterns of integrating yourself at the bare basis level of your being, as this is happening at the bottom of your chart, where nobody can see you. This is the midnight point, right? The 4th house is always our greatest integration of self, that perhaps no one is privy to witnessing except ourself and those who we allow into the deepest midnight chambers of our soul, right? And what the lunar eclipse is doing for you, as its ruler, Uranus, is simultaneously retrograde in the 6th house for you, for the next 6 months, Scorpio, for the next 6 months, this is the simultaneous clearing out of old emotions, clearing out of old patterns, clearing out ways, methods of self-integration or self-development that you have cultivated, that you believed needed to be implemented, right? Ways of dealing with your emotions that have perhaps isolated you, that have kept you somewhat detached from everyone else through the building up, the momentous force of whatever this underground clutter is, right? Because your emotions to this point, Scorpio, how you've used your emotions up to this point have been in a way that has alienated you from everyone else. And the way this was set into motion was emotions that are swept under the rug, emotions that are kept underneath the surface, right? Put away in a deep dark closet somewhere that nobody has the key to or is even privy to noticing, perhaps. Where there's been this barrier between you and the rest of the world, right? Where there's been this sense of emotional detachment where you have left your emotions in your underground cellar to stew and to rot and to decay and to build up over time, right? This method of how you integrate yourself, of how you deal with your emotions, perhaps by letting them become karmic knots. When something is left to stew over time, right? It repeats over and over again until it becomes a karmic knot. And the longer it is left to stew there, the easier it is for your power to be taken away, Scorpio. The easier it is for you to be torn away from the world through this emotional repression I'm feeling. And what the solar eclipse in Leo is having you do is realize your overall place, your overall part in this grand scheme, this grand plan that we're all in, right? That is life in general. What your purpose here on this planet is, what your role is. And your role, Scorpio, is ultimately a power player, because you hold the power within you. But where this power has been channeled up to this point has been in this deep dark cellar, right? In this deep dark cellar where all these hidden emotions have been forming into karmic knots and karmic patterns. And with the clearing out of this, you regain your power, you regain your sovereignty, you regain your solidarity within yourself, and you learn new methods, new means for how to be healthy within yourself, how to be integrated within yourself, how to know yourself, because you're not your emotions. Even though you're a water sign, Scorpio, there's so much more to you than just the daily circumstances, the daily events, that sort of the cyclical happenings of human experience that arouses these emotions, right? When you look at the grand picture, which is what the solar eclipse at the top of your chart is having you do, when you look at the part you play, everything else is just a distraction. Everything else that takes you away, that takes your power away from you. And your power is in your emotions, right? You're not your emotions, right? You're not the content of your emotions, let's just say. But how you channel your emotions, what you invest your emotions into, tells you who you are. And in a sense, this either takes your power away from you by perhaps letting your emotions go towards something that is completely irrelevant to your purpose, letting yourself be distracted, right? Distracted by the outer happenings, the outer circumstances, the outer drama, right? The Maya, the illusions of reality, in a sense that you believe your power can be taken away. Your power can only be taken away if you allow it to, and you allow it to by investing your emotions into places, into circumstances, into situations that are just aiming to throw you off balance. And this is what you've been working through with Jupiter in your 12th house. Jupiter in your house of karmic patterns, right? And relationships, how you relate to other people, as Jupiter's in Libra, Libra being the relationship sign. All the relationships up to this point in your life have been teaching you where you have given your power away, where perhaps the karmic knots have been playing themselves out over and over again, and how you can expand your concept of your spiritual power, through the unraveling of these knots. And these relationships have been teaching you how to do that. And with the solar eclipse, for the next 6 months, it is teaching you how to channel whatever these deep emotions are as you unravel them, right? As you unravel the karmic knots. All of a sudden, your power is returned to you. Your power is reclaimed, but what you do with this power sets the course for the rest of your life, basically, right? And channeling these deep emotions is what becomes your purpose. So even though the solar eclipse is happening in your 10th house, right, at the top of your chart, it's not just about career. It's not just about your position in this world. It's not just about the surface level type of service, right? It's about what you are, what your power is. We're at the zenith of your power, right? The zenith of your power is always placed at the midheaven, at the top of your chart. And with the Leo eclipse, okay, that may be a Freudian slip in a sense, whatever that means to the rest of you Scorpios. You may be acquiring a type of leadership role within the next 6 months, right? As the Leo archetype is basically requiring you to step up to the plate, to come to the forefront, to rise up out of the ashes of whatever these deep, dark emotions, this cellar, this underground layer has been for 8 to 9 years now, right? Whatever is coming undone is being reset. And we're questioning what the zenith of your power is, the zenith or zenith. And with Uranus in your 6th house, retrograde. Before we get to Uranus and Taurus, Scorpio. Before we get to Uranus and Taurus in your opposite sign, in May of 2018, before we get to that point, Uranus retrograde in Aries in your 6th is requiring you to look at your productivity, right? Look at your health, look at your day-to-day mundane reality, right? Preparing your vessel for what's to come. Preparing how you use your energy. You're needing to get exposed. Exposing your power is what is key right now. And as you expose your power, it becomes all about how you use your power, right? What the productivity level of your power is. What you channel your emotions into is the key. And you need to channel your emotions into something that is constructive for your life. Constructive of your purpose, constructive of your potential, of your power, of whatever it is you aspire, wish, hope to be, hope to create in this world, whatever part you see yourself playing now or in the future, right? And Uranus in the 6th is having you look at the long-term usage of your power, right? What your long-term investment is, where you see yourself investing your time and energy and resources into, where you see yourself long-term giving of yourself in a sense through service, through the channeling of your power. Because Scorpios ultimately need to be part of something, need to be intimately connected with some other, whether this is a certain person, whether this is a certain project, right? Scorpio ultimately is the sign of intimacy. And intimacy isn't just, love and romance. It's also business. It's also legacy. It's also trust, bonds, mutual funds, all of this stuff that sort of binds our resources together, binds the two halves of our being together, binds the yin and the yang, binds two wholes to make a greater whole. And with Jupiter coming into your sign within the next 6 months, by October, whatever has been coming undone for you for the past year, Scorpio, is coming to light even more. And this can be a good or bad thing, depending on how you utilize the energy, right? If you have been working through, if whatever the relationships have taught you in your life, right? Wherever they have exposed how you've been channeling these emotions, right? Wherever they've exposed the crevices, the subconscious knots, right? Then this is helping you tap more into yourself, right? With Jupiter coming into your own sign, this is expanding where you have somewhat grown into yourself. And you can begin again to align with your purpose in this sense. And as you are preparing your power, as you're upping your productivity level, right? As you are upping the level of control, regaining control of your life, right? Mind, body, soul cleanliness, right? As you are coming into mastery of yourself, through the channeling of your power in every area of your life. And it's ultimately preparing you for the relationship breakthroughs that will occur when Uranus comes into your opposite sign. And this can either be, of course, a breakthrough or a breakup, right? Uranus does either, it either breaks or fixes or transcends, right? Upgrades, depending on how you use this energy now, where you have unknotted yourself, where you have grown into yourself. And Jupiter in your own sign is expanding your sense of self, right? Expanding what your potential is, expanding as you reclaim your power, as you reclaim whatever these deep emotions have been hidden away, right? As you reclaim it, it comes down to how you use it, right? And the opportunities somewhat come into your life, especially as you regain control of your life with Saturn moving into Capricorn in your third house, right? Where Saturn has been in Sagittarius in your second house, where you've been constantly needing to solidify, creating some substantial identity within yourself, right? In order to walk down this new path, whatever new path has been calling to you to use your power, Scorpio. Saturn and Capricorn will sort of help you gain clarity of how to use your power versus being all over the place. And Jupiter and Scorpio will bring you more opportunities to open you up to apply your power in all types of new ways, whether this is career, whether this is, projects, whether this is new relationships. It will open the doors for you to be able to live more into your authentic power. But ultimately, again, it comes down to aligning with what these emotions are, aligning with what heretofore has been knotted, what has been beneath the surface, what has been hidden in deep, dark chambers of your psyche, right? And as it unfolds, as you unravel whatever this has been for some time now, for several years now, you align mind, body, soul with yourself, with your power, and you set the world on fire, Scorpio, because that is your power. So thank you very much for watching, Scorpio, and I'll see you all for your September reading. September 2017 forecast, which will be coming out pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that video, and I'll see you next time. Sagittarius, for you, this eclipse season is having you break out of very old, very, very, very ancient patterns of thought. Even mental afflictions perhaps that have been sort of keeping you in this cage, where you have been kept in the cage. Sagittarius, you were coming out of the cage and you were coming back into your power as you are having a North Node solar eclipse in your 9th house, in the house of Sagittarius, in your domicile house, right? So for the next 6 months, these particular archetypes will be playing out, right? And in a sense, with Sagittarius in your sign retrograde and Uranus being retrograde in your 5th, there's always been this sense of something being right around the corner, getting around the corner. I'm feeling that you've been trying to get around the corner for some time now, right? And it has sparked this degree of restlessness within you, restlessness to get to the other side, whatever that other side is. And I'm feeling for you that it has to do with a whole new adventure, a whole new world, right? A whole new world that speaks to you, that speaks out of this box that you've been caged in. As you've been since between 2008 to 2009, right? This certain archetype is what we're releasing now with Aquarius, the South Node lunar eclipse happening in your 3rd house. This is releasing whatever this has been for you, whatever this sense of being somewhat mentally detached from the rest of the world, right? Mentally detached from your story, perhaps. Mentally afflicted. Whatever dark night of the soul you've been in. Whatever dark night of the soul you've been in, it's all being transcended. It's all being transcended as you are finding your own light, right? And as you are preparing to enter this whole new adventure being because the North Node solar eclipse is happening in your domicile 9th house of Sagittarius, of hopes, wishes, and dreams, of your future, of your destiny, of your higher self, of foreign lands, of boundless opportunities, right? As you are learning to find your light, and as you are prepping for this new adventure, and I say prepping because Jupiter, your ruling planet Sagittarius, is moving into your 12th house by October. Within the 6-month period, Jupiter will move into Scorpio. And it's requiring you to find your light in the darkness. It's requiring you to peruse, to sort through, to sift through all of the different angles, all of the different boundary lines, the different worlds that you have inhabited within your psyche, within your subconscious mind. Every single element of yourself has to come to the surface. Because this new adventure, whatever new adventure awaits you, is completely different to anything you've experienced beforehand. And before you embark on this adventure, you're needing to come to absolute terms with what you are beneath everything, right? You're needing to go on the mystery ride into yourself, into your hidden self, having an internal adventure before the external adventure, right? This is the journey to find your own light. This is the journey for the Holy Grail. The journey for the Holy Grail is within you, Sagittarius. And this is the ultimate journey. This is the ultimate adventure you could ever embark upon. It's not about what you conquer. in the outside world. It's not about where you can go in the outside world. It's not about the foreign lands and the travel that you could escape to. That's just a cover up for what the real journey is, and the real journey is within you, because this is the scariest journey. This is the journey you've never been on before. And in it, inside yourself, you're discovering a whole new world. And this is stripping you raw. This is stripping you naked. Saturn being in your own sign strips you of the non-essential elements, because it's forcing you to be absolutely focused, absolutely concretized, right? Absolutely clear, absolutely clear about who you are, absolutely clear about what you are, what you're bringing, who you will be. Saturn forces you to mature in this way. Saturn forces you to be here, right? Not over there, not over there, not over in, not just anywhere, right? You can't just be everywhere. Even though you're a mutable sign and this is your natural, somewhat mode of behavior, you can be here, there, and everywhere, perhaps at once. But Saturn being in your sign until we get to the end of the year is taking that away, right? Taking somewhat that privilege away, because it's forcing you to be focused. It's forcing you to be clear about who you are. You can't dilly-dally. You can't stand on the you can't stand on the surface, and you can't stand on the edge of the line. You have to be in the center. And in the center, you are stripped of everything. You are naked to the bone. And this is making you a more refined, more concrete, more clear Sagittarius, right? And Jupiter in Libra thus far in your 11th house has been getting the band together, getting the people together, getting the resources, the contacts, the things that you need to be on this journey. And Uranus in your 5th house is requiring you to be revolutionary about how you express yourself. Revolutionary on how you expose your creative assets, your creative potential in the world, right? Because it's beyond what people are expecting. I'm feeling there's a grand plan at play here, a grand scheme of things that are building up to when Uranus will go into your 6th house, being in Taurus as it moves into Taurus. In May of 2018, right next year, there is this new level of being in the world that you are arriving at. But before then, Saturn will come into Capricorn. It will come out of your sign. And this is rebuilding from scratch, right? Rebuilding your world from scratch. And you're getting your freedom back again. But your freedom is in ripping your world apart. Right? Ripping your old world, the elements of your old world that you are no longer a part of, that you've outgrown, because you've transcended them. Because it's not enough to just travel to foreign lands on the surface level of reality, right? Everything in your world, whatever new adventure this is, it needs to speak to this higher purpose, this higher plan, this higher vision, to the deepest adventure within yourself. The deepest adventure within yourself that you are arriving at. So, Sagittarius, be the light at the end of the tunnel. You don't necessarily need to look for it in the outer world, because the world is rebuilding as you now see it, right? You don't need to look for the stability in the outer world. You can cultivate a level of stability within these next 6 months as by the end of the year, Saturn goes into Capricorn in your second house, which is requiring you to develop the resources, develop the work ethic to be able to build whatever this new adventure is, right? It's requiring you to stick to a schedule, to stick to the plan. And the plan ultimately leads you back to yourself. And the plan is preparing you to come out at long last out of this dark night of the soul that you've been in for several years now. Even though it may not look like it on the surface, even though many people see Sagittarius as this happy-go-lucky, jolly, somewhat jolly, right? Somewhat jolly, somewhat merry sign. I'm feeling you've been on this internal battle, this internal journey into yourself for a long time, right? But not in the sense that we're moving into now. Even though you're moving into the journey within yourself, within your soul, right? I'm feeling that where you have been exploring has been the dark night of the soul, right? On the outer hinges of the soul, the outer rings of the soul. And this is because you've been towing the line. And Saturn has been teaching you how to not edge the line of yourself, but to stand in the center, bare, raw, and naked. So thank you very much for watching, Sagittarius, and I will see you next month for your, which is pretty soon, right? September, for your September forecast for 2017. So be on the lookout for those videos, and I will see you next time. Thank you.